of the Sports Car Club of America's National Championship Runoffs. This is an event that has become known as the Olympics of amateur motorsport. 25 classes will run. Medalists will be determined in all of them. The gold medal going to the champion. This is an event that is as much about camaraderie as it is competition, but the passion is all-consuming. Today, it's a brand new class, T3 for high-performance sport compacts. T3 is one of the two new classes to achieve national status in 2006, so the question of which car is the best to have for the runoffs is really up in the air. So let's explore some possibilities. Southeastern Division champion Stan Wilson thinks it's the supercharged COBALT SS. Now, he put together 8 wins this season, one of them at the prestigious June Sprints. Now, that is a horsepower track, and the supercharger loved it there. Will this track at Heartland be as friendly? The guy who's hoping it'll be friendly to his car is Rob Lay. He thinks the handling of the Mazda R8 might just be key. He had 3 wins this year on the way to a Southwestern Division championship, one of them coming in June right here at Heartland. Now, Joel Lipperini is a 2-time showroom stock C champion. He's opted to go with the Miata, always known for its handling, but to deal with the horsepower to run in this class, this one has a turbo on it, and he has had a great season as well, winning the Northeastern Division with 5 wins. Now, at a handling track like Heartland Park, you want some bite, and that is exactly what Stephen Burkett feels the Mazda RX-8 will give him. He's moved up from the E-Production class, and he won the Midwestern Division Championship with 4 wins this year. Another driver who likes what the Mazda RX-8 will offer in terms of handling is Southern Pacific champ Rick Gilhart. What a year, 7 starts and 7 wins. He'd like to add a gold, but they've got to go up against former showroom stock C champ Mike Kramer. He won that championship in 2003 in a Saturn. This year he's running a Saturn Iron Redline. He was in the Southeastern Division with 3 wins. He wants to add a gold to go with that one in 2003. Not only in its 43rd running for the SCCA's National Championships for the run for the gold medals, is it the first time it has ever run at Heartland Park, Topeka. It is also a debut of the brand new class. T3 is coming at you from Heartland Park, and for a lot of these drivers, it is their World Championships because this is the Olympics of motorsport. Hi everybody, welcome to Heartland Park, Topeka in Topeka, Kansas for the 2006 SCCA National Championship Runoffs. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Danny Binks here in the booth, and of course down in the pits we are going to have John Bizignano and Jim Trado covering all of the action down there. It's a new class, Dan, but also a lot of changes to this track for many. It's brand new as well.
Yes, it is brand new. The whole front straightaway is new pavement. Turn 1 is very tight. Up through the S's here, turn 6 is very slow. Good passing into 8, out of the bus stop, and into 10's a decent spot. The S's are out onto the front straightaway.
Key to get out of that last turn and make that drive down the front straight. Now let's take a look at the touring classes, and in this case T3.
Yeah, they're high-performance street cars. A lot of different suspension components, change sway bars and things of that nature. All the tires are wide open.
There you have it. It's pretty much just drive them and see who comes out on top. For more from pit lane, let's check in first with Jim Trado.
And Greg, Scott Shelton lines up 3rd, and he was at this field 2 years ago in the very same car in the Mazda RX-8, but he's back in 21st or 22nd, so he's very thankful. The T3 class was created to be a competitive racer. Qualifying in the top 2 rows is no small feat, but he's putting additional pressure on himself. He said, I've got something to prove. I got to keep my head down for 18 laps and prove I belong with these really fast race cars. Let's go down to Biz.
Else with something to prove is Shannon Masters. He loves his beautiful RX-8. He built it up himself for the summer and scored 3 really strong wins. But right now he's feeling like he is a COBALT sandwich. That's because he's in between these 2 Chevrolets. The Mazda depends on brakes and handling. The COBALT power and straight line speed. We're going to find out which has the winning combination.
Well, and Biz Shannon McMasters qualified a very impressive 5th in that sandwich, obviously. And one of the things about those COBALTs, 205 horsepower, certainly one of the stronger cars in the class. And by the way, we're going to be talking about the Saturn Iron Redline, shares that same power plant. Straight line speed there as well. Green's coming up. And welcome back, everybody. The pace lap underway for the first ever running of T3 at a national championship level. Great to have you with us for our coverage from Heartland Park, Topeka. You know what? For a first year, a large field has turned out here, well over 20 cars. And the interesting thing, Danny, is we're going to show you that starting lineup here. We bring the graphic in. That top 10 group of cars are very close.
Yes, they are. They're all within 1 second. You know, Wiley Timbrook there in 10th is 1 second off the pole. And, you know, he's going to have a race on his hands.
I think for a first time for this class, you know, all the potential was there for one car to just be dominant and check out. So again, SCCA has done a very nice job of making sure things are fairly close. 22 cars, according to my records here, are going to be taking the green. You mentioned Wiley Timbrook. He is the 1990 Showroom A gold medalist, and he may be on the move early. He's got some sponsorship from Buzz Through Espresso Bar right here in the paddock, so they've been having fun all week. Let's get down to Jim Trado.
And guys, when this class was formed, it was really a guess by many. Some guys said we need to stay in the back of the grid, show there's interest, but other guys have said, you know what, we're going to go with a Mazda, we're going to go with a COBALT, we're going to go with a Mazda RX-8. It was an unknown factor. No one really knew what the hot car was, so a testament to all these teams for qualifying for this national championship. Let's go over to Biz.
Well, let me tell you, if you're sitting at home on the couch saying, boy, that looks like fun, well, think about getting off the couch and maybe getting one of these cars. You can buy a used one, buy a kit for the safety modifications, or take it to a tuner who will modify it for you, and then you can go racing. Go to an SCCA school and be out on the track yourself. That's what makes this such pure, great club racing. Try it.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing better than getting out and mixing it up with these guys, and the more the merrier, as they say. You see the light out on the pace vehicles, and we are anticipating the first of 18 green flag laps starting. This time by, you just saw a shot of the number 33, that yellow Chevy Cobalt. Joe Aquilani, owner of that big Team Phoenix, and they're very busy here this weekend. Pace car is in. Watch for the green flag, and it flies. The first ever T3 National Championship is underway, and right away, Rick Gilhart, that gentleman who had that perfect season in the South Pacific Division, just gets the nose of that RX-8 ahead as they come up and over. But look at the move around the outside by Lipperini. Question is, can he make it stick? Somebody well off over there dropped a tire. And let's see, Lipperini actually paid the price, I think, on that and dropped back a spot. And in fact, Scott Shelton has tucked right back in those first two cars. There's Lipperini, that white Mazda, and then it is Stan Wilson who qualified fourth in that Chevy Cobalt. They are still side by side, Lipperini doing everything in that turbo Mazda Miata, the MX-5, to hang on, and does. And right there, Stan Wilson tucks in behind. Let's go back and see who dropped that tire so big coming through, and that is Lipperini. And boy, he looked like he was hustling down into turn 2 pretty quick.
Yeah, we've seen the outside lane there is very tough to make a move on the start, and he paid the price, lost a few spots.
Being a showroom stock car, the one nice thing is you got a little bit of clearance essentially, so he could just ride it out and was able to tuck back in. Eventually found his way into third, that white Mazda right there. But there's that horsepower. Look at Stan Wilson. Lipperini moved over and Wilson just blew by him as they're coming into the bus stop. That is that Cobalt supercharged engine, 205 horsepower. And look, there's a classic idea of the difference in size in those cars. The Cobalt, a much bigger car, but much more motor in it. And then that little Mazda Miata, and it is so agile, and it's great on the brakes. And you can see as soon as they get to the twisty stuff, look at this, Lipperini all over him, trying to duck into the inside, going into 11, couldn't get it done. But there it is, horsepower versus handling being played out right here.
Yeah, and they're going through this S's part, and the Mazda's really quick through the tight bits. But when they get out on the straightaway, you'll see this Cobalt just take off. When this car was at Road America, it just left.
Yeah, I love those long straights at this track. Not a lot of those here. The problem right now for Lipperini is the fact that Gilhart and Shelton have opened up already a fairly nice little margin because he's been trapped behind. And look at Wilson just destroy Lipperini down the front straight. As a matter of fact, he falls right into the grasp of McMaster's, but now they get into the twisty stuff, and Lipperini, now that Mazda comes into its strengths.
Yeah, he just threw some dirt on the rest of the guys there. And he should catch up a little bit, but look at the power of the Cobalt just driving away.
I think that's Lipperini doing some old ice racing tricks. When we used to ice race, you get a guy coming up behind you, you'd always run through the puddle to make sure you threw as much spray and junk on his windshield as you could to try and dissuade him from running too close. And Lipperini, early in qualifying, the rules for this class state that Mazda, that MX-5 Turbo, it comes with a hardtop, and you can get it with or without a rear window. That's a factory spec. So he put the one on without the rear window. It was extremely extremely quick. Of course, all that airflow, instead of hitting the back of that windscreen, he was very fast. The stewards took a look at it and said, no, you need to run that. And he said, well, you know, that's kind of a gray area, but stewards rule, and that's the way it was.
Yeah, Aquilani is leading that group of guys back there, 7th through 12th. They're all in big race here, nose to tail.
Yeah, very close. Aquilani, Faltz, Holloway, Ott, excuse me, Steve Ott. Very, very close concert. Aquilani in that bright yellow car, and here you go, a little side-by-side action as they work through back there. That's Burkett and Kramer having a good run. Remember, Kramer driving the Saturn Ion Red Line. It didn't qualify that well, but it shares the same power plant as that Cobalt. So in a straight line, that car is very quick. Problem is the handling is not well sorted yet.
Yeah, he moved up one spot. It looks like everybody's pretty evenly matched, and it makes it, this track makes it hard to pass because everybody's so close. There's somebody inside back there.
Good look there at the number 7. That's Holloway, who is having a good run here. He's up from the 8th qualifying spot, Dennis Holloway. Up into the 6th spot right now. That's Aquilani right behind him in that yellow Cobalt.
Aquilani just had a great lap. Great. He picked up another 3 or 4 tenths, so he's catching them a little bit at a time.
Closing it up. There's Liparini, McMasters, and now Aquilani actually got around Holloway, and that is the power of that Cobalt down the straights. Then the thing is, you've got to run real defensive and wide in the corners until you can get that power to play for you. And right there, just look at the launch as it accelerates away from Holloway and that RX-8. And you've got to get that car in front and then drive wide until you can get to those straights. And right now, Aquilani doing a nice job of keeping that sort of strategy in play right now. But you can see Holloway all over the rear deck right now here in the early going at Heartland Park, Topeka for our brand new class, T3.
Lynn Griffiths is very different from any teacher or principal that I ever had in grade school or high school. She's been racing cars for over 30 years. Lynn, I've got to ask you, how do you balance it, running a big school and going racing?
It's a question of focus, John. That intensity is always there. Whatever you want to do, you can do.
Do the kids think it's cool?
Kids think it's real cool, but they don't believe it. Maybe now they will.
Well, that's a great story, and I tell you what, she's had some tremendous results. The area in Redwood City, California that she teaches, 85% of her students still are learning English. 90% or more are on a moderated lunch program because of financial situations, and yet she got a 250-point gain in academic measurement since she took over. So she's working some miracles in the school and obviously doing a nice job on the track. She won her division.
Wow, that's impressive. You got to tip your hat to the teachers. They do a great job.
I'll tell you what, they are the unsung heroes of this planet, without any doubt. They do some incredible work, and she certainly is doing just that indeed. There is a look we saw for a minute of number 17, Bernie Sunier, who is also driving in Formula Atlantic. He decided this is a brand new class. Why not? I'm going to go out and get a car and see what we can do in it. And he got one of the MX-5s like Liparini is running. And obviously that car is a little handicapped in a straight line, but works very well in the corners. Right now we're looking at Gilhart and Shelton. And Shelton qualified second, moved up, or third, moved up to second quite quickly. And the two of them now have opened up about a second lead over Wilson. But Wilson now has finally got that Cobalt down into the 159s and has actually closed it up just a little bit.
Yeah, they're matching each other's laps, one right after another. Gilhart and Shelton running 59.2s together, and Wilson running 59.6. So they're putting it down.
Now, one of the questions is, we saw that side-by-side shot, and that Cobalt clearly is a bigger car. It's got the power, but that means it also has weight. And the question then becomes, does it take a little longer? Do you have to be a little more careful in the opening laps not to run the tires off? And as I say that, Wilson has an off, and I don't know whether he just pulled off or had some sort of incident. It looks like now he's got it going again, whatever the problem was. And I was just about to ask you, if you have to take it easy with the extra weight to save tires. Let's see what happened here.
It looks like he just ran wide. It looks like he's just driving along. I'm not sure what happened.
Wonder why he came to a stop then, unless he thought something had gone wrong and then thought about it again. Oh, now he has pulled off and gone behind the wall. So there is something amiss with that Chevy Cobalt, and he has decided to park it and save whatever the problem might be. So there, as he was just starting to find some real speed, he finds something broken and pulls off and parks it. So that then is going to move Lipperini up, McMaster's up, and Aquilani is the other COBALT right now. There he is, and Aquilani, it's left to him to carry the colors for the Chevy, the GM brand right here.
Right, and he's leading these guys by about a half a second, pulling away from these two MX-8s.
Yeah, Holloway's the lead MX-8 in that group, putting it together. It's the two Holloways, as a matter of fact. James in the 7 and Dennis in the 84, both out of Huntington Beach, California, and doing a very solid run here in the RX-8s, trying to chase down Aquilani.
Yeah, and here's another Mazda coming up behind. Looks like one of those turbo RX-5s maybe, or a Miata.
And it's an interesting deal. These the two Holloways that I'm talking about running right behind Aquilani. If you've ever heard of Mother's Car Waxes and Polishes, if you've heard No Shine Like Mother's on Speed a few times, they're the co-owners.
Yeah, and they have a beautiful truck here, and I think they're actually giving some samples away.
I bet it's a pretty truck. All polished up, no doubt. Aquilani continues to hold them off, but once again, you see as soon as you get into the twisty stuff here, those two RX-8s are all over the back of Aquilani. Then he gets on the straight. Watch him here out of 7, and now he gets to drop the hammer and look at that margin just build at this stage. And then right behind them is Stephen Ott.
Yeah, Jason Ott.
Jason Ott, excuse me.
And he's moved up a couple of spots from the beginning of the race, and trying to do the best he can here.
Yeah, he's running one of those Mazda Miatas. Again, definitely handicapped in the power department. But, you know, that big margin that Aquilani had just getting into and midpoint in that bus stop chicane, that whole margin's gone as that RX-8 closes it right up. Then he builds another car length and a half or so. Then as soon as they get into 10, now into 11, it's gone again. This is just a great study in horsepower versus handling.
Yeah, it is. They're all over them through the little tight corners. Looks like there's a little bit of traffic coming up. We'll have to see how that plays out.
Now, traffic, usually that is where horsepower can really help you. But look at this run here. Holloway got the run, actually got out of that turn better than Aquilani did, and then Aquilani drops the hammer on that supercharged engine, and away he pulls. And as I was going to say, when you get into traffic, horsepower is definitely your friend.
Yes, it is. It makes it easier. You can, shoot down the inside of somebody else, and looks like most of the cars are about the same on the braking.
Actually, we were thinking that was traffic. It's not. That is McMaster's, who's currently running in the fourth spot. Shannon McMaster's, just that this group is reeling him in just a little bit at this stage. You saw 84, Dennis Holloway running a little bit wide, but out front right now with 5 laps complete, it is pole sitter Rick Gilhart leading, and Scott Shelton both driving Mazda RX-8 and driving very well, Lipperini the MX-5. The 43rd running of the Sports Car Club of America's National Championships, called the Runoffs, the Olympic of Motorsports. It is at a brand new venue, and today it features a brand new class. The first time that this class, T3, has ever run in national runoff competition, a full season of runoffs racing throughout SCCA's 8 divisions to get them to this point. The top 10 from each of the divisions at the end of the year are invited to the runoffs, and these are the folks who decided to take up that invitation and come here and commit a good week and a half to come out here and try and earn a gold medal. And right now it's Gilhart and Shelton, and they've still got that second advantage or so over Lipperini.
Yeah, these guys are the class of the field at the moment. They're both doing very fast laps. The last two are 59.1s, and Lipperini just did a 59.5, so he's pulled out a little bit.
He's relatively close at this point, but Jim Trado out front, these two RX-8s look mighty strong.
Indeed, we'll check in with team winner Robert Davis of the lead duo. Apparently a 4-car effort now, Robert. I imagine you have to be very pleased with this first chance at the runoffs of the T3 class.
Yeah, so far so good. The RX-8s, the MAZDASPEED RX-8s are doing great. We're really proud of what we've been done today. It's a new class, and the RX-8 is really very competitive in class. But it's also, the class has got a lot of great cars. You see the Chevy COBALT SS is doing a great job. So is the MAZDASPEED MX-5, and we hope to see some more cars in the class next year.
I happen to hear you talk to your buddies over here that this is harder than driving. You're a racer yourself. What's difficult about watching your team?
Well, just sitting here watching them, and particularly with no video here, we kind of really don't know what's going on except what we hear on the radio, but we feel pretty good about our chances today, and we really think we'll bring the Mannheim Auctions RX-8s home, at least a couple on the podium.
Well, we certainly have an awful lot of video that we're able to show him. I wish he could be watching it. And a nice thing is he'll be able to watch this when it replays, so he'll be able to catch it. But that's a guy who's pretty involved in racing on a lot of different levels, isn't it?
Yes, he is. Robert Davis is the vice president of Mazda North America, so he's got a big job, and he's also the owner of these two cars.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you what, in recent years in particular, I don't think there's been a better friend from grassroots racing right up to the pro level than Mazda. I mean, they have picked up an awful lot of stuff in SCCA Club racing. They've created a lot of opportunities. They have the Atlantic Championship. They have Laguna Seca they're very involved in. I mean, they've gotten very involved at every level, including solo competition, where a lot of road racers start to cut their teeth. So doing a superb job. And here is Joe Lipperini in a very quick Mazda, struggling a little bit at the moment. John?
Is Nicole Cooper. Nicole, you told me earlier on that you were very lucky just to be here. You blew up an engine on Thursday.
Yes, Joel blew up his engine on Thursday afternoon in the practice day, and him and his crew worked very hard and diligent and got it fixed on Sunday afternoon to do the last qualifying session there, a practice session, and then he qualified throughout the week. We had some tech issues, and he finally qualified on Wednesday and Thursday. So he qualified second, so he's running third now, so we're very happy.
Can I ask you, can you settle him down a little bit in the opening laps? He likes to make quite a charge there on the first corner.
Yeah, he does, but his SSC race calmed him down from this morning, so he was all calm and cool and just wants to take this car home in one piece today.
Well,
and on the podium.
And best of luck with that.
Thank you.
Well, and I'll tell you what, he is a two-time champion in Showroom Stock C, the 2002 and 2004 champ, and doing a great job here running this car. Again, he ran into those tech issues midweek, but they kept their focus. They kept after it. He did throw down a great qualifying lap to end up outside of the front row.
Yeah, and they're running two classes, which they get double the track time. An average racer here gets about an hour and 15 minutes of practice and qualifying for the whole time. So now he's got an advantage of 3 hours.
He definitely does. Here are the two leaders, Gilhart and Shelton, continuing to run up front. There you can see Lipperini in back, but it has been busy elsewhere on the track. A little question of that here. Back in the pack as these three have opened that margin up a little bit. But here's the battle for fifth, and that is the Holloways, and boom, thanks, bro. Just got into the side of him and said, welcome to Topeka.
I don't know if I'd want to go to dinner with him tonight. They might have a couple arguments there.
Yeah, that ride home might be a little long. Watch the move here. I mean, he thought he had it pretty clean, and I don't know that number 7 saw him recognize he was in there. Jim did.
Yeah, and he hit the curb on the inside, and then you just use up all the road and right into the 7th.
Yeah, and obviously the curb will unsettle the car, and then suddenly you're just a bit of a passenger for a moment. And believe me, as he was heading toward Jim, he was going, oh, this is not going to be fun. But they got it sorted out, and they continue to run 6th and 7th behind these 5. And welcome back as we give you a look at what's happened thus far. Here's the start of T3, the first time ever run, and pole sitter Rick Gillard doing a nice job. Then watch this right here as the number 92 Stan Wilson was able to make the move on Lipperini as he ran a little wide, and Lipperini lost some mo, and right there the power of the COBALT just shot by, and Wilson moved up. But that didn't last too long because suddenly the number 92 of Gilhart really hopped over that curb, and maybe that's what happened. He might have broken something. And then here are the two Holloways, Jim and Dennis, getting into it a little bit, a shoving match, and everybody survived okay, but obviously Jim dropping back just a bit, and now he's got his work cut out for him. But the problem is for these two guys, he is hooked up, and we show there's been a change here. Still Gilhart is leading as he comes by. Apparently we have a little glitch in our scoring monitor, so it is indeed Gilhart. Want to clarify that. Over Shelton. Lipperini is still 3rd. Those are the medal positions. Aquilani, the highest place of those COBALT, and then McMasters, Shannon McMasters, who had qualified in 5th, currently running in 5th at this spot. And then we're going to go back just a little bit, and here is a good battle that is shaping up. Once again, it is Jason Ott right in the mix here. He has come up and is got Wiley Timbrook. Boy, Wiley has put together a great drive, no question. That is that red Mazda RX-8. And Wiley Timbrook, they call him Wiley Coyote. And as I said, he was the 1990 Showroom A champ. And Wiley is putting together a great drive as well. There we go now is the 84 of Holloway as he is closed up and is coming after McMasters at this stage. And then right behind them is that silver Mazda of Ott's, Jason Ott, having a very good run. There's a look at Aquilani right now as he is just trying to hang on. Jim?
And Mark Justy and the whole support cast watches Joe Aquilani go by, and 1 lap ago he made a very impressive move to gain position back up into 4th. Now Mark Justy, you're with the team. It's a big cheering effort, but Joe's doing a great job behind the wheel.
Yes, he's doing a real good job. Hopefully go for a podium this time. So,
now,
doing good.
Chevy Cobalt, we talked about a Pontiac Solstice and what you guys had to do with that with Phoenix Performance. How about this Cobalt and the performance in T3?
It's doing wonderful. Better than we expected it to turn out to be. Doing a good job with that car, and it's doing good.
Mark Justy down here with the Phoenix Racing Aquilani effort and a big supporting cast.
Yeah, they do have a sizable crew here. They're running a lot of cars in a lot of different classes, and again, they get some help from GM Performance Division, so that gives them a leg up in a lot of ways. And right now, obviously, it's a car that's got tremendous straight line speed. Handling needs to be dialed in a little bit on a technical track like this. That's where that car is struggling. And now, back in the battle for 13th, that's Dan Istuk, and Dan driving the lone Audi TT in this class, sponsored by Revo Technic, and he was the 1982 showroom stock A pole sitter. Had a little problem in qualifying, was back in 19th. He has moved up now 5 spots and is now battling in that 12th, 13th, 14th situation. And right behind him is the number 99, Rob Pekarik. He is driving a Mazda RX-8, so this took doing a nice job.
Yeah, Nang in the BMW, he's really putting the heat on these guys.
Now that, we believe, is the same car that he ran in one of the showroom stock classes earlier.
Right, I'm pretty sure it is. I think you can change the wheels a little bit and different tire compounds.
So he's doing a nice job just to hang on to these T3 cars at this stage. And there again, the 99 of Rob Pekarczyk doing a superb job in that Park Classics Mazda RX-8.
Yeah, the 99 car there is sponsored by Reed Kreider, and back when I first started racing, he's an old-time club racer and raced in IMSA and all kinds of different cars like that.
Oh yeah, we've seen Kreider racing on the side and nose of quite a few cars throughout the years, particularly in IMSA competition. But Istuk right now continuing to fend off Pekarczyk, and Nig right behind them, and actually they open it up just a little bit. Pekarczyk looks like he might be looking at making a move on Istuk here, heading into the bus stop. Not quite. And that little Audi TT, a very well-balanced car. Meanwhile, up in that battle for 4th, Aquilani is starting to really feel the heat from the number 84 of Dennis Holloway. And Holloway all over the back now, but it's this part right here where you can see that Chevy just opens up that margin a little bit, and Ott wants by as well in that Mazda MX-5. The Miata, not going to happen at this stage. And once again, Aquilani feeling tremendous pressure and having to widen that rear deck of that Cobalt to hang on to 4th. We are back, and the battle is continuing, and we've had a change. The number 84 of Dennis Holloway has finally been able to find a way by Joe Aquilani, so the RX-8 has moved up into that 4th spot. The Cobalt, the yellow car, is in 5th. And then Jason Ott, having a strong run in that MX-5, still sits in 6th and is trying to still figure out a way by. And we're going to go back and show you how that change happened.
Yeah, it looks like he just got a little bit wide. The Mazda went down the inside. And this is a pretty tight corner. He just took the line away, shoved him wide. He's lucky he didn't lose 2 spots there. And he's able to come off the corner about the same as the Mazda there, the Miata, and hold him off. Well, looks like if the Miata gets by him, it'll be...
It looks like it, yeah. And that's the question here. Obviously, you've got the power advantage, but now as we're past halfway, I would think the tires on that Cobalt have probably been used up pretty good. And Aquilani's been doing a great job over-slowing for corners on occasion. We'll use the polite term. Over-slowing to make sure that he gets that advantage coming out. But eventually it was just too much. And boy, you can see Holloway there, the back end of that Mazda. He is on the limit right now.
Yes, he is. And he's really good through this section. 2, 3, 4, 5. He'll just pull away from here. Aquilani, if the Mazda can get by him, the Mazda Miata, if he can get by him and get through the twisty bits before he gets to the front straightaway, I think he can hold him off.
Well, and that is, I mean, right there you can see Jason Ott just lets that little Miata have its head, keeps the hammer down as he flows out, and almost that entire margin has evaporated. And he saw what worked here. I would think maybe he might try that same move that Holloway did if he can be close next lap, because he always is able to get alongside here, but then just a little bit too much acceleration, and Aquilani able to drive away. Now Aquilani's going to be awfully tight off of this turn. That radius tightened up, and if he can get inside, he can make it interesting for Aquilani, but he's got the pony and turns across. But I would think now having seen what Holloway was able to do the lap before, Danny, that maybe into 5 the next time we might see Jason out if he's close enough, just stick it down in there.
Absolutely, and he might be able to do it down into 8 or into 10.
And meanwhile, going back just a little bit, this the 01 is Istook again in that Audi T2, and right now that battle, they've moved up just a little bit. They are now running for 12th with Pekarczyk in 13th, right behind them. No change in the position. They've all moved up a spot, but well, I tell you what, these guys going at it hammer and tong.
Yeah, the TT is about in the same boat as the Miata. It's got a little less power than the RX-8, and if they can keep them behind them through the tight stuff, maybe you won't get past down the front straightaway.
Going down that straight right now and heading into the chicane, the bus stop as they call it here.
You really need to be on line through this stuff. We've seen a couple cars get offline and they just fly off the track.
And that time Istook actually turned in a little bit early, which slowed up his exit, and that has allowed him to come. Oh, and number 19, Jason Ott, having that great run, is in the pits, and it looks like there's a little bit of a wrinkle there on that left front. That tire looks down.
Yeah, the tire is definitely down.
Here's what happened. Obviously, this battle was going to come to tears the way they were driving, and
looked like
boom.
Aquilani turned in on him a little bit, just didn't know he was there, and the Miata took the big hit.
Yeah, that's a spot that you can make the pass, but you need to be just a little bit further up along. And of course, that Cobalt's much higher than the nose of that Mazda. And Joe may never have even seen him in his mirrors until he was starting to turn in, and boom, it happened. So that's going to change things up a little bit. Aquilani now in 5th, but Wiley Timbrook sitting in 6th and coming after him.
The lone Saturn in Touring 3 belongs to Mike Kramer. Now, Mike won in the Saturn a national championship just a couple of years ago. But it's a new class, and Mike, you had a hand in it. Tell us about your role.
Well, this car actually started its life out as a T2 car along with some Mazdas and some other cars. And we had to suffer through being T2 cars for a while. It was really tough. But some guys, Stephen Burkett, Robert Davis, and myself, I kind of think we're the pioneers of Touring 3. It's going to be a great class. It is a great class. There's a number of competitors here, a lot of different makes and models, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. It's a wonderful deal, and again, I'm happy to be a part of it.
Underdog, and that's what he's been, trying to develop this car. He qualified 14th, and then to add insult to injury, a cut tire, and he is pulled off the track as a result of that. So his day is done, but believe me, Mike Kramer will be back. He's a great competitor and is going to get that Saturn flying. It took him a few years to get it up to speed and win a national championship in showroom, so he will be there. Meanwhile, Gilhart and Shelton continue to control things right now. It's never been more than a second over each other, but they have now, Danny, drawn away to almost 8 seconds clear for Shelton over Liparini. So clearly the RX-8s really are the class of this field right now.
Yeah, they're really adapting to this track, and it looks like Gilhart has really come to his own. It looks like he was the fastest car that lap. Well, I take that back. Shelton just won a 58.9, so he's putting the heat on him.
Yeah, both of them have turned their best laps are a 58.90 for Gilhart, now a 58.94 for Shelton. So 4 100ths separating these two guys in terms of fast laps right now. And I think what we're seeing is that the Mazda is a nice handling car with decent power. The Cobalt has huge power, but it's not working real well in the corners. And then the other side is the Mazda Miata MX-5 Turbo is exquisite in the corners, just down a little bit on power. Then we go back a little bit further, and now Istook with a couple of cars dropping out. This battle is now for 11th. Every time we check in, they're battling for a spot higher.
Yeah, Istook is just working that thing as hard as he can. The RX-8 is putting the heat on him down the straightaways, but you can see he pulls out a little bit here. But the RX-8 catches up. We'll see what happens through the 4, 5, and 6 here.
Now, of course, you can get the Audi TT in a Quattro configuration, and if you don't, it's, I believe, just front drive. And so as a result, obviously a little bit different handling characteristics, but boy, just an absolutely solid run here for that car.
Yeah, that's a lightweight car.
Yep.
And the RX-8, like I said, is a little bit heavier. But, these long straightaways, we'll see what happens.
Pekarczyk right there, number 99, sitting in the 12th spot right now. Probably getting a little tired of looking at the back of Istook's Audi, that little rear deck back there, but just hasn't been able to find anything yet to be able to make the move on him.
Yeah, without bumping into him, it doesn't look like he has anything for him.
Pekarczyk, by the way, was the Central Division champ, 3 wins in his 6 starts. So it gives you an idea of just how intense the competition is here for a divisional champion to be back in that 12th spot right now. This now is the battle for the 6th spot. We're looking at the number 18 of Stephen Burkett, who currently runs in that 6th spot. And behind him is the gentleman I was talking about, Wiley Coyote. Wiley Timbrook is coming after him in that Mazda RX-8. Both of these guys driving the R8. And there is Burkett with Timbrook right behind him. And these guys have, again, just kind of moved up with, 1, some speed, and 2, just some developments from other cars up front, having a very solid. And Wiley Timbrook, it's amazing here because Wiley is the Rocky Mountain Division champ. He had 11 starts this year, and over half of them, 6 of them, were wins. And this is another case I was talking about how competitive this class is. He's 7th.
Right, he's 7th. He moved up from 10th on the start, and you know, he's got his work cut out for him. 1 COBALT in front of him.
And here we go. Pekarczyk trying the outside run on Istuk in 1. And if he, and Istuk swung wide. I don't think he realized Pekarczyk was that close. Swung wide to set up for 2, and Pekarczyk said, "Why, thank you."
Yeah, that's all he needed. You know, the TT won't have anything for him now. He's going to try all he can, but we saw earlier he was getting, you know, the steering was not as good through the back part of that carousel, and he's able to pull away a little bit. The best chance he has is maybe into 6, but if he makes it through 6, he's going to be gone. And it looks like he's pulling it out now.
All right, well, here we go through 5, and Pekarczyk gets out of 5 nicely. Istuk carries maybe a little bit wider line, but you can see Pekarczyk opens it up. That should give him what he needs through turn 6, and he will drive away up front. It is still Mazda's 1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome back. There is Rick Gilhart, and I'll tell you what, folks, these guys are hooked up. Gilhart qualified on pole at a 58 flat. He is running laps less than a second over what he qualified. That is very impressive, and some of those laps coming near the end of this race.
Yeah, he ran a 59.3 right now, and it's 3 laps from the end of the race, down to Biz.
Well, of course, in a situation like this, you always have to ask about team orders, and there's a little space between the cars, but they can, I think, probably close that up. The team orders is go hard, run fast, run fair, and do not whatsoever run into one another. Mazda lost 2 cars that were running up front. 2 brothers ran into each other that were driving Mazdas. They don't want to see another 2 top competitors go out right now. This is a real point of pride for these manufacturers.
Yeah, I've been in a few of those meetings where the team cars run into each other, and they're not very fun.
Not pleasant at all. And Biz, you're absolutely right. This and the showroom stock classes tend to be a real manufacturer involvement class. We've talked about GM Performance Division on board in this class with the COBALT. Certainly Mazda, as we talked about Robert Davis being involved, the vice president, owning one of the teams, and obviously that company very involved. This is important, and I mean that, you know, when the runoffs are over, take a look at some of the sports car racing magazines. There's a lot of win ads for these, not just the manufacturers, but tire companies and the like. This is important.
Yeah, this is a big deal. These, you know, tuner class, they're really getting into this now. You know, Heinrich, he's here. He's watching this stuff. He's running in a couple of the different classes. And like you said, with Robert Davis coming here, that's big name guys coming to the runoffs.
You bet it is. And right now, Rick Gilhart is showing that Mr. Davis's support is well-deserved as he is driving an absolutely stellar race. As a matter of fact, now he is starting to gauntlet it just a little bit as he's opened it up to 2 seconds over Shelton. And here is the number 33 of Aquilani as he continues to hold the lead. But the number 18 of Stephen Burkett is coming after him. And it's a great drive for Burkett because he started 12th in that Tuxedo Park Racing Mazda RX-8 and is up into 6th and is closing in on Aquilani.
Yeah, he just pulled in another second, and I think Aquilani's having trouble with his car, and it looks like he might be able to get to him.
Well, I really wonder if, again, the weight and of the car and trying to hustle that weight around, slow it down, get it through the corners is starting to take a toll. One on tires, but one thing we really haven't talked about much, Danny, is all the drivers have said this track is hard on brakes.
It is hard on brakes. Turn 1's fairly fast, and going into 8 is fast, so you use a lot of brakes. And a heavier car, you just might be paying the price now.
A little bit of brake fade, tires going off a little bit, and Burkett is coming, closing in now as they head into turn 6. Nose drops under braking, gets it turned in, and now just starts to feed throttle. Turn 7 is fairly flat, kind of a blind brow, but shouldn't be any problem for these guys to just hot foot it through there. This is now, of course, where Aquilani opens it up just a little bit, but then he's going to give that all back and more, I would think, to Burkett as they get into turn 6 here in the bus stop.
Yeah, the bus stop's really important. Looked like he was getting through there really nice.
Going back a little bit, checking some of the battles a little bit further behind now, working the carousel. And these guys having a big move there to the inside. That is Pikarczyk, and he is now 10th as he gets by, I think that was the 31 of Griffiths. So Pikarczyk is starting to hook up just a little bit. The longer this race goes, it seems, the quicker Pikarczyk is getting. And again, that may be that the Mazda RX-8 is really good on tires and brakes, and that car not really going faster relative to itself, but faster to surrounding traffic as they're fading a little bit.
Right. I wonder if Gilhart and Shelton and those guys are helping some of these other guys, you know, telling them what they need to do with their cars, and because obviously those guys, their cars are really sorted.
Yeah, they've got it pretty well dialed, and you would certainly think so. Pikarczyk coming now into that bus stop chicane, as you which is turn 8. And then the exit here, this little bend is 9, and then up into the climb up the hill. Meanwhile, here is Gilhart, and we are on our final lap. So Gilhart now just has to hang on one more tour of Heartland Park Topeka, and he's going to bring home a gold medal in the first ever running of T3 as a national championship level class.
Yeah, he's pulled out to a 2-second lead here. He's just managing his last lap. Hopefully there's no traffic. Coming up to the bus stop here.
He is 2 seconds over Shelton. Shelton, just to remind everybody, now has 12 seconds over Lipperini. So these two RX-8s are looking awfully strong. Lipperini splitting the other of that team factory, if you will, of Holloway. So he's doing a great job. But boy, Gilhart has just controlled this from the start.
Yes, he has. He knew exactly what he needed to do. He's taking care of his car, hitting his marks. He's good down through these S's. Just smooth as glass.
He's watched the line, and I mean, he has had that exact line every time through. Places the car right where he wants it to be able to get it right. Gives up a couple of corners to make sure he gets this nice wide swing onto the front straight, drives out over that runoff area just a little bit, drops the hammer. He's backed off a little bit to let Shelton come in for the photo finish, and they've done it. Gilhart takes a gold medal as the checker flies with Shelton right behind him. The official margin of victory is going to be less than that 1.9 because he did back it off a little bit, I think, for that photo finish. Yep, down to less than a second, and then assuming that Lipperini hangs on to it here, I think Joel did a great job, just didn't have the right the right knife for this fight, as it were. And we'll be right back and talk with our champion. Welcome back to Heartland Park Topeka, where history has been set. The first ever running of Touring 3 is complete. Let's get you right down to John Bizignano in Victory Circle.
Rick Gilhart, congratulations on being the very first T3 champion. Congratulations on a great run. Tell us about it.
Well, we knew we had a couple fast guys behind us, so we had to go out extremely fast and try to set a blistering pace from the beginning and just try to gap them.
But nothing went away on the car. Some of your fastest laps were actually in the last five or six laps. The brakes were there, the tires were there, everything was working.
Yeah, the Mazda Mothers, Hoosier tires, everything ran extremely well. I tried to drive a pretty conservative pace and just keep the tires underneath me the whole race.
Were you worried about the COBALTs and their straight line speed?
Only at the start.
Only at the start. Well, let's go down to his teammate, the second place finisher, Jim.
And before the race, Scott Shelton told me I need to prove something to myself and the competitors. I need to belong up here. Congrats on running her up to your teammate. How satisfied are you?
Very satisfied. The car and the guys did a great job. They put me up front. I had a lot to prove to myself and to everyone around, and I just couldn't be any more happy. The guys from Mazda, the guys from Missouri, the guys from Hoosier, outstanding job. Thank you very much.
Scott Shelton smiling. I'm sure he'll still be smiling on his way home to Los Angeles. Guys?
You bet, as he's going to have the silver medal to be thinking about on that flight. Let's take a look at our unofficial results after T3 has come to a conclusion. Gilhart won it, of course. Shelton in second. Joel Lipperini, again, a car that didn't have the power and probably drove the tires off, trying to stay with it as his times fell off a little bit, but he still held on for third. Holloway survived that shove-it match with his brother and ended up fourth. Aquilani fifth in the COBALT. Going back a little bit, there's Pikarczyk and Don Istuk had that great race-long battle. Never too far apart, and sadly for Mike Kramer, the Saturn just didn't quite make it through the day today. Let's get back down to Biz.
You had a lot of power, but it just wasn't quite enough.
Yeah, we tried to get it done there in the first turn. I knew we had a shot at the team cars and didn't hold it on the outside, and we'll settle for third this year.
Well, congratulations on a podium finish.
Thank you very much.
Well, there's no question that he didn't give it his all. Another good run by Joel Iparini.
Yeah, he used all the track, he used all of that car, and came up third, and that's, you keep your head up about that.
Interesting study now, obviously, on this track. The RX-8's very strong. We saw at the sprints, the COBALT had it, and as you take a look at it, a season-long of racing, these cars are well matched, but obviously the RX-8's had them pretty well covered here at Heartland Park, Topeka in this first running. We're really happy you were able to join us here for Speed's coverage of this first ever T3 National Championship at the first running of the runoffs here at Heartland Park, Topeka. For Danny Binks and John Bizignano and Jim Trado, I'm Greg Creamer. We really appreciate you joining us, folks, and we certainly want to say a tremendous congratulations to Rick Gellhardt for bringing home the gold medal in the first ever T3 runoffs. Nicely done, Rick.